In 1992, Robert received a richly deserved Academy Award nomination for his portrayal of the title role in Chaplin. Who directed it?
That would be Lord Richard Attenborough.
This is what Attenborough said after he had chosen Robert. The combination of his youth, his mimicry, his ability to play age, his balletic skills, his ear, his height, and his similarity to Chaplin. There's a lot of fences to jump. There's an even higher fence. That, of course, is Chaplin's genius.
I probably would have had a complete meltdown preparing to play him if I had a real inkling of how, you know, how huge a task it would be.
The film was based ostensibly on Chaplin's autobiography. Did you read it?
Oh, sure. Backwards and forwards.
Did you go to any other biographical sources?
I went to every other biographical source.
Of course, you had the most precious research of all, his films.
Yeah.
How many of them did you review?
All of them.
All of them.
Repeatedly.
What did they give you?
They freaked me out. You could watch them, screening them at the same time, and you'd see that he had this thing that he never lost, but his ability to innovate and communicate, and how practiced and loose it was. I mean, you know, it was just the ultimate education.
The film quotes W.C. Fields' famous reference to Chaplin. In the film, they call him the greatest ballet dancer who ever lived, according to W.C. Fields. That was not true. That was not the way he referred to him. Fields was wildly jealous of Chaplin, and he always referred to him as that f***ing dancer. In one of his short films, I saw Chaplin toss off an entrechat that would have been worthy of Nijinsky. And in your film, I saw you duplicate that feat.
Who? I'll tell you who. The Japanese for one thing, and the Ruskies for another, and anyone else who doesn't happen to speak English. Oh, you've forgotten about the other 9/10 of the globe.
All right, I guess I'll have to show you. Who's the most famous ballet dancer in the world?
Pardon?
The most famous ballet dancer in the world.
Nijinsky.
Fine. So, let's say that he was doing Swan Lake today, and we all went to see it. And he came down to the footlights, and the orchestra stopped, and he said, "Hi, folks, I'm Voslov Nijinsky." No, it had a Russian accent.
Hi, folksies. Call me Voslav Nijinsky, skididi. Just call me Vos. It doesn't matter. It's okay by me. Everything is so wonderful in California. Okay, today I'm going to jump up and down for you like nothing what you've ever seen before, but with the vodka means can the chicken kill. Hope for you for to like me by. You know what would happen when he danced? It would be awful, because the magic is gone. Just as it would be with the tramp.
Going back to Chaplin, I know just from reading, you did a ton of preparation for that film. And I wonder if that preparation was fear-based, or was it reverence because he was such a genius that you've been given this man to portray?
What essentially happened was they put the movie together, and then the financing kept getting pulled or falling apart or put back together until I think Carol Code did it with TriStar. That Dickie kept calling me and saying, "Darling, just hold on 3, 5, 7 more months." So I think I wound up having, you know, like 9 months or something like that to get ready.
So you screen test, and then the movie doesn't start for another.
Yeah, but I was cast.
You were cast.
That's
okay.
all I needed to hear.
And when you did the screen test, did you know? Were you able to prepare for it? Say these are the scenes we want to see, or was it?
Yeah. I had a couple afternoons with a dialect coach, and I had a day or two with a movement coach, and it was this very kind of haphazard, just kind of a grab bag of Chaplinisms or whatever. But I think I was supposed to play with like a step ladder or something like that, and that went okay. I couldn't tell you what I did or what I was thinking I was going to do. But I felt, I just felt akin to the guy. I spent a fair amount of time going around to some of the places he'd been. But to answer your original question, yeah, the longer I had to get ready, the more I realized that this guy was an absolute mountain, and there was no way that I could really ever do anything besides, you know, be as honest as I could imagine about portraying an aspect of him, which was his public and private personas.
I read that you learned to play tennis left-handed.
Yeah.
Well,
I learned to play tennis with old tennis rackets, and then I was looking at some old films, and I realized he was ambidextrous, that he was playing left-handed. Then I went back to my tennis coach and said, just one last thing, we got to switch. And then the day that we shot it, it all kind of went out the window, and I'm there with Kevin Kline, who's just like, darling, will they really know? And I couldn't let go.
but I find that interesting that it must have gone through your head, like, no one's going to know this but me.
Right.
But yet you felt like it was important to do that.
Well, look, part of that is the story, being able to sit here, you know, 21 years later and tell you how committed I was. So oftentimes I think the most earnest things are done with motive. In that moment, I was like 25, 26 years old, and you couldn't tell me otherwise.